Most interesting gossip among beef producers at the just-closed Royal Queensland Show centred on the disappearance of 860 head of cattle from two properties near Tambo in central Queensland. The cattle, Brahman Droughtmaster Cross bullocks worth about $1 million, went missing sometime between April 22nd and May 22nd. Extensive inquiries, without success, have led the owner to offer a $100,000 reward. Now, questions asked at the Ekka included, how do you load these cattle? After all, they'd hardly be called quiet cattle. How do you shift them? 860 bullocks, I'm guessing around 48 decks. That's 15 or 16 B doubles or 8 B triples. And where do you take them? They're all tagged, of course, and branded. You'd hardly take them to a meatworks, or would you? Now, here's the brand, fairly standard sort of brand, and surely not that hard to identify. It's amazing, people I speak to about what might have, could have happened, would do Sergeant Schultz very proud. They know nothing. The $1 million cattle duffing mystery. Now here's the Crime Stoppers number if you know anything and want a slice of that reward. 1800 333 000. That reward again, 100 gorillas. And while we're on cattle, let's check the prices from last week. And as usual at this time of year, the main concern is quality. Yardings were up marginally last week with the drying conditions in the east pushing the poorer quality cattle onto the markets. Strong demand lifted that trade steer indicator. Other lines were steady, and that fall in the feeder steer indicator would be no surprise. Markets must be very hard at the moment for exporters, with the dollar staying well above parity. And all this action left the Eastern States Young Cattle Indicator down 5 cents at $3.81 a kilo. Now, the live trade is steady. Boats are leaving for the Philippines as well with bigger cattle, but the main market, Indonesia, seems to be getting tougher by the week. Latest news is that the smuggling of Indian buffalo meat into Indonesia will probably become more or less officially permitted very soon. So prices ex-Darwin steers are quoted at $2.25 a kilo less for heifers. Moving to lambs, where the indicator held up reasonably well on the back of a slight lift in numbers and weak demand. But mutton headed south. Demand here is sluggish at best, and that price is close to the lowest for the year. Most yards reported poor quality as the key factor. Heading to grains now, where we find markets chopping and changing again after the profit takers dominated for several days. Analysts report there is no news which might change the view that production in most areas will not meet demand for some time to come. For example, the American corn crop has lost a staggering 102 million tonnes this season because of the drought. Put that alongside the biggest ever Australia wheat crop of about 29.5 million tonnes, and the scale of that loss should register. On top of that, wheat yields in Russia, for example, are down 30%, and barley is off 20%. Now, these prices are down for the week, but up from Monday and Tuesday trading. There's a growing opinion in the States that corn and soybeans will soon need to be actually rationed. Local futures stabilised after losses early in the week, so these prices are on the up, but rain forecasts for eastern states in coming days might put a cap on any gains. The opposite is the case in the west. And that possible rain has dampened tracking prices as well, except for canola, which firmed a fraction, but remains well off its top of just a month back. The good news is for sorghum growers, $242 a tonne is the best price for sorghum since early 2011. Let's head to New York now for cotton and sugar, where unfortunately there's no good news. Cotton remains above key support indicators, while sugar is on a toboggan. The spot price has dropped for 13 consecutive trading sessions. Finally to wool, where the market is also drowning in red ink for yet another week. All wool types and microns were savaged as buyers from China sat on their hands. Sellers reacted by pushing pass-in rates well above average. Analysts report the high Australian dollar is simply putting the skids under wool demand. So the Eastern Market Indicator closed at 949 cents a kilo, a drop of 4.6% in just 1 week. And year on year, that represents a loss of 314 cents a kilo. Now, after that bad news, let's move to one of the hot topics in Australian agribusiness at present, that of foreign investment. At a recent conference in Melbourne, the keynote speaker was one of the world's leading agribusiness consultants, Philippe de la Perouse. Mr. de la Perouse said the United States will have an increasing interest in investing in Australia over coming years. He was speaking to Landline's Chris Clark.